O Mother Nui, stretch high above this valley. Your starry body is our glory. Then see the hawk of yonder Rahur quit, his fiery splendor, oh so mighty. He brings a light for all our weary souls. He makes the broken spirit whole.
When we think of chemistry today, it's all clean white coats and sterile labs. You mix clear liquid A with clear liquid B, and you get this very predictable reaction.
Right. It's safe. It's totally clinical. There is no emotional baggage attached to a beaker of hydrochloric acid.
Exactly. But if you rewind a few hundred years and look at European alchemy, that clinical lab is just, well, it's totally gone. We're doing a deep dive today, tailored just for you, into a world where chemistry is messy and bizarre and, deeply psychological.
Yeah, which we're seeing in these two ancient texts we're looking at today. The Aureum Velis from 1708 and the Rosarium Philosophum from 1550.
Right, we're decoding what they were actually trying to achieve, because they weren't just trying to, literally turn lead into gold.
Not at all. They were actually mapping the human psyche.
Okay, let's unpack this. Is it fair to say alchemy was essentially the Renaissance equivalent of extreme, highly coded psychotherapy?
That is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
To transform into something better, they believed you had to completely dissolve what you currently are. Like in the Rosarium, there's this woodcut, plate 4.
Oh, yeah, the one with the naked king and queen.
Yeah, the king represents the dry masculine sun, and the queen is the wet feminine moon. And they're sitting together in this hexagonal bath.
Which chemically represents solutio, right, like dissolution. They use this highly corrosive acid they call the green lion to literally melt down base metals. They're basically destroying the rigid form.
Exactly. And the psychoanalyst Carl Jung actually saw this as a map for individuation. The bath is the unconscious mind.
Wait, really? The acid bath is the unconscious?
Yeah, because to grow, you have to strip off the armor of your ego and regress into those chaotic emotional waters.
It kind of reminds me of, dismantling a rigidly glued Lego castle. It feels completely destructive while you're doing it, but, well, it's really the only way to free up those individual bricks to build something stronger.
That's a great way to look at it. But the catch is that this dissolving process doesn't just leave you with a clean slate of polished Lego bricks.
Uh-oh. So it gets worse.
It inevitably leads to a really painful, rotting death of the old self. So after the bath, the elements separate and enter what they called the nigredo, the black stage.
Right, and the imagery here gets incredibly dark. The king and queen actually die in the vessel and fuse into a single black, putrefying corpse.
Yeah, it's intense.
It really is. And the texts are super insistent about this, saying without putrefaction, nothing can grow. It's like a seed that has to rot in the earth.
Right, and psychologically, this mirrors the dark night of the soul. That period of severe depression or grief that hits when our old psychological defenses finally collapse.
Leaving this massive void.
Exactly. The ego structures just die.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Why must it be a rotting corpse? Is this text arguing that profound suffering is an absolute non-negotiable prerequisite for personal growth?
Well, the alchemists, and Jung later on, argued that you cannot just gloss over the rot. That breakdown is what reduces you to your primal state.
So you basically have to hit rock bottom.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
You have to face the darkest parts of your own shadow before any genuine structural change can happen.
But this putrefaction can't be the end state, right? If it just ends with a rotting corpse in a jar, this is a hopelessly miserable philosophy.
Oh, definitely not. The agony of that rotting phase ultimately creates the porous space needed for a miraculous resurrection. Which brings us to the final step. Fermentatio.
Oh, like adding yeast to dead dough.
Exactly like that. A spiritual ferment is introduced, and it resurrects that black mass.
Oh.
The text says that suddenly those toxic, foul-smelling, corrosive acids invert. They become sweet, like honey. And that, right there, is the philosopher's stone.
Okay, so what does this all mean for you listening right now? I guess psychologically, that bitter poison of unresolved trauma, the rotting corpse, finally gets digested.
Yes, it turns into the sweet, life-sustaining wisdom of a whole integrated self.
It's like that profound inner peace that only really emerges after you've endured grueling shadow work in modern therapy.
Precisely. Alchemy brilliantly synthesized these chemical operations and psychological maturation into just this single poetic language of destruction and rebirth.
We started this deep dive talking about the safe, predictable nature of modern chemistry and those clean clinical expectations we have today.
But the alchemists knew transformation is messy. And, it hurts.
It really does. So here's a thought for you to take away. In a modern world that constantly sells us quick fixes and easy ways to bypass emotional pain, are we actively preventing our own psychological putrefaction?
Which is a dangerous thought.
Right. And by doing that, are we denying ourselves the sweet honey of true, lasting transformation?